Hello, dear friends. To contain is to moderate the passion or to restrain the impulse of a strife or dispute between several. Opinion piece. Containment. Time of chaos. Volatile situation. War delays the event. Everything is being revealed. Let's start. The forces of light continue to do everything possible to contain the conflict in the Middle East, and the ground offensive against Gaza continues to be delayed according to Cobra. His focus on eliminating scalar and directed energy weapons is already paying off, and many light missionaries are reporting far fewer attacks than in the past. My personal estimate for her personal estimate of the Space Girl event is a period between the fourth quarter of 2023 and the first quarter of 2024. We don't know what comes next, but she believes the bad guys are in checkmate. She adds that if you work for the good of the universe, you will feel very isolated from most people. Susanna believes that the conflict in the Middle East has raised concerns about the release of prosperity programs. Given the volatile situation, release may be delayed until the situation stabilizes. But the publication of these programs does not directly depend on the situation in Israel and Gaza. The process is complex and involves multiple factors, including the global economic situation, political stability, and regulatory frameworks. Another objective of the forces of light would be the disappearance of 100 secret laboratories from which dangerous things could be released if they took too many measures. These centers must be rendered harmless before the event can be triggered. Asking, wondering why the event isn't happening yet? In the past, I was quite optimistic and naive in believing that the event would occur as soon as the toplet bombs were removed. But the reality is much more complex. The population is much more programmed than previously believed. A much more etheric matrix and subquantum anomaly must be removed to safely guide the people through the event process without frightening key people, because at the moment of the event, basic food and energy distribution chains should remain intact. If the event were to trigger prematurely, simulations predict a partial collapse of the power grid and food supply chain in many parts of the world, which could only be addressed in a week or two. Furthermore, the light forces would not be able to completely block all the biochemical weapons that would be released by the dark forces in their last-ditch effort to maintain control. This would lead to much suffering and would taint the experience for many. The forces of light have communicated that the process of the event could be much more chaotic than expected. The event itself will include the financial reset and the publication of many secrets. This entire process will take around 1 or 2 weeks, during which time the distribution channels for water, food, electricity, and internet should remain intact. A part of the population would not accept the process, and there would be dysfunctional behavior. Slowness. Why is the liberation process so slow? Why are the light forces not taking any physical action against the dark forces? There is an answer, and that is the right to human choice. Who wants freedom, well-being, and love when an intervention goes against his will? The release process is very slow because many layers of the matrix must be dismantled. The will of the servants of the light is clearly in favor of intervention, and this would occur as soon as it is safe enough. The forces of light care about the population, but they feel pain because they cannot yet intervene directly. They are afraid of the power of the subquantum anomaly. They don't understand many things about the surface population. They are excited to unleash healing technologies. They look forward to interaction with humans, but they are also afraid of them. The main factor delaying the release of the planet is the larger, with a subquantum anomaly. The forces of light are removing as much of this anomaly as possible and then triggering the event in a certain way. They are also releasing information gradually, because if too much was released at once, it would trigger too strong a purification process. This would be the main reason why information is being released gradually. Disintegration. I don't like to be catastrophic, but we have had to see the ugliest part of this process, which is the disintegration of the system. All the messages talk about the same thing. The kinetic aspect of the conflict could soon begin, and international entanglements would become treacherous. The question is, what will happen after it falls apart? I don't have a crystal ball. All I know is that I have an alternative concept of what the world can be like after this psychosis we have been trapped in, according to T. L. Davis. There is no political will to do anything that is not aimed at law-abiding, tax-paying citizens. Establishment allies would burn it all down, and we would be expected to pay to rebuild it. But that is not as easy now as it was in the past. At the same time that all this is happening, the average citizen could have difficulty paying their rent, mortgage, and food. Companies would not be able to borrow the money needed to expand, and would even have to cut employees and services because it would increase the cost of maintaining their business. Each line of credit would see the interest rate double and treble, which means that the banks have huge amounts of unrealized debt that they will try to hold on to. But in the end, they would need the cash and all the hell would break loose. The war could not be financed under these conditions. It would collapse the economic system while we would be embroiled in civil unrest until the real fireworks begin. That's why I say we have to look to the new world that lies on the other side of the pile of rubble. When it starts, all the bricks would collapse. The important thing is how we address that debris. These are catastrophic failures that no government has survived in the history of the world. My suggestion is to let go of the Titanic's railing and get ready. I suggest we think of it as if we were seeing a new world and having to decide what to keep and what to get rid of. It would be difficult to try to survive while the old system slowly or rapidly deteriorates before our eyes. Things like checkbooks and electric service might not work. Other things might be easier or harder to get. Entire segments of the industry could collapse. Banking would probably be the first to disappear. Opinions. According to the Storm Rider, everything is being rebuilt in a masterful plan. The story is much bigger and will grow. Mike Adams believed that attacking Gaza by ground would skyrocket the price of energy. Elon Musk sounds the alarm. We are sleepwalking towards the World War III. In quotes. Donald Trump warns that, in quotes, we are heading towards World War III, while Biden declares that we need a new world order, according to Sochafal. Trump responded Sunday to attorney Sidney Powell's guilty plea in Fulton County, Georgia, saying she was never his lawyer. Michael Cohen could face Donald Trump in a trial in New York. According to Kathleen Keating, the Synod of Rome asks for charity for demons, in quotes. Doc Poet believes that Whenever God wants to change things, he sends people to do it, and also people to support those people. Is your mind crazy? Nemesis asks. Unhappy human beings have mental problems. Mental problems are not real because they are manufactured by the mind. You are having physical and mental experiences. Once you conquer your mind, all you have left are physical experiences. Benjamin Fulford believes that the world moves forward while the West fights against mental illness. The squid shoots ink to avoid bankruptcy and arrest. This is the ancient trauma-based method of mind control. Destroying hospitals is an old trick to provoke outrage and reaction. As a result of this awakening, the attempt to start a global conflict would be failing, and the Iranians have not taken the bait. Another objective would be to distract attention from much more important real events. According to Dolores Cannon, in the shadows of our world, there is a truth hidden beneath the surface of everyday life. Those in power and those clinging to old habits are aware of the changes taking place in our world. They try to stop us, but they know they can't. Puffner said, we see the twists and turns and political chaos afoot. We see the efforts of the white hats to tear a hole in the fabric of the dark side and tear it further. We see the efforts of people trying to save the world by doing a wide range of all for a good cause. You often wonder if this world is lost for the whims of the dark side, and yes, it could be. But no, there are those who are awake enough to see the mischief and influence wild enough to stop the general chaos that has been going for years. Not all people are available for awakening, but some more who awaken would see the truth, and some older heads who have tried to do everything possible to be mobile and healthy in their later years will become more enlightened. Just eat well, sleep well, exercise, and stay away from drugs you don't really need. Love and life closer to Mother Earth. All this will benefit you. Breaking news. The EU foreign ministers are in favor of humanitarian pause in Gaza, but the 27 are not equally forceful when speaking of a ceasefire in the area. The US opposes a ceasefire because, in its opinion, it would allow Hamas to rebuild. The UN confirms the entry of 40 more trucks with humanitarian aid for Gaza. A second convoy of 17 trucks with humanitarian aid enters the Gaza Strip. A third convoy of 34 trucks enters Gaza from Egypt. Chinese warships patrol in the Middle East. The media manipulates the public about the war between Israel and Hamas, according to Lee Smith. The Davos Forum orders governments to make the viewing of alternative media a criminal offense. Bill Gates pushes a plan to cut down 70 million acres of trees to fight global warming, in quotes. An off-duty pilot attempts to crash a plane with 80 people on board by turning off the engines in mid-flight. Hurricane Norma makes landfall in Baja California, Mexico. Many Argentines were scared of Milei's proposals and preferred to vote for Massa. Spain is the fourth country in the European Union with the highest poverty rate. Tejero Declaration. The ex-colonel of Civil Guard Antonio Tejero, 91 years, who led the coup d'état on February 23, 1981 in Spain, pointed out for the first time the emeritus King Juan Carlos I as the person who was behind this failed act. In quotes, the king had prepared a government to his liking with General Alfonso Armada, but a soldier was needed to carry out the coup. That was me, he said in an interview with the newspaper El Español. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.